Do you have a food intolerance? There are many of them. I need to draw a distinction between an allergy and a food intolerance. If you're allergic, it means your body produces antibodies, and that can cause all sorts of chaos, and you can test for that with your doctor. But food intolerances is a milder kind of thing, and it won't be picked up by the usual allergy tests. But you may have an intolerance. And if you do, the symptoms can widely range from just digestive things like heartburn or irritable bowel syndrome or diarrhea. But you can also get things unrelated to the digestive system. So you can get insomnia, headaches, aching in your joints, all sorts of stuff. So and you can get bloating as well as a common one. So if you have an intolerance, how would you know? Well, there are two ways to tell, really. One is to test for it, which means you do testing of either your blood, your stool, your urine, or your saliva, all of those together, not in the same test tube. And you test all of it, and then you find out. But that can be quite expensive. It costs something like £1,000 to test all of those things in a good lab. But they will tell you everything. They'll give you hundreds of different foods, and they'll be like, often they have a format like red, green, and amber. So it's, reds, you must stay away from. Amber, you can have occasionally. Green, you're okay. That kind of thing. It's quite useful. As I say, it's a bit expensive. Or the other thing you can do is simply stop eating one group of foods and see what happens. Because if you just stop eating it and you feel better, that gives you a clue as to which things you should avoid. But it's not quite as simple as that. Like, for instance, the most common one, intolerance, is gluten. So over half the population have the gene for gluten intolerance. So it's quite likely that you might be that. So that's probably the best place to start. Now, gluten is found in barley and rye and wheat. In other words, any cake, biscuit, bread, pasta will have probably some gluten in it. So you have to completely stop for 2 weeks. I want to say completely stop. You mustn't have any. So you must read all the labels, all the food you eat, because they slip it into all sorts of things sometimes. So read all the labels, completely stop it for 2 weeks. If you feel much better, then you can start eating it again. And if you start getting the same symptoms back, you know that's it. Start with that one. If that's not the one, the next most common one is dairy produce, milk and eggs and cheese and so on. But work through them all. And that way it doesn't cost you anything and you find out. I'm not talking about celiac disease. Celiac is different. That's where your body produces your body attacks your own tissues in response to gluten. So that's a nasty thing. You've got to get that sorted out with your GP. But if it's just intolerance, try it and you might find your life improves. Good luck with it.